Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this special episode of WWE Aftershock Extra. And in this episode, I'm basically going to go through my WrestleMania 42 experience. I originally was going to do this episode with Chris, but then I was kind of thinking during my trip that if I did this with Chris, he basically wouldn't really be able to say anything because it'd be all about me just talking about my experience. So I figured I'll just do this alone, and then the next time we do an Aftershock, when he's on, I don't know when that will be, he'll give his thoughts on WrestleMania and everything like that. So, yeah, I'm basically just going to talk about my trip to Vegas and what I did at WrestleMania. I did some other things, but I'll try to keep this mainly wrestling related, considering the fact that this is a wrestling channel. Maybe if I'll do a video on the about the non-wrestling stuff on my non-wrestling channel, but I'm going to keep this mainly everything that I did during WrestleMania time. And I'll try to go in depth as possible, but I'll try not to make this too long. So, and obviously throughout this, I'll give my thoughts on WrestleMania. I'm not going to go into detail because it's been a little over a week, and I always like to do the live experience. So, I'm going to try to keep that as short as brief as I possibly can. So, the trip really started Thursday. We flew out Thursday. I ended up working at Lowe's that day because the original plan was I wasn't supposed to actually leave on April 17th. I was supposed to leave the following Friday, April 18th, and what ended up happening is the WrestleMania kickoff party was earlier than we thought it was, so we ended up having to move our flight earlier. And unfortunately, I ended up working, which wasn't a bad thing, but it is what it is, I guess. So I went to work, went home, did some final packing. Also, I will say this too. I was going to originally, try to show photos and stuff, and have me talk, as each photo comes up. But I feel like that's going to take, a lot of editing and just a lot of time. So I figured, I'll just do it this way. But yeah, so, I did some unpacking, and then we left for the bus, to take us to the airport. Well, no, we left to meet my mom at work first. We left at 2:30, because my grandfather likes to be everywhere early. And then we went, we got to the bus. We took the bus to the airport. We did all the pre-check and everything like that. Waited for a little bit for the plane to board, and then we boarded the plane. And then it was about probably a 5-hour, 6-hour flight. But obviously, we lost 2 hours because Vegas is 2 hours ahead of Boston. So, 2-3 hours. I forget exactly how much. And yeah, the stuff in Vegas looked cool. I got to see the Sphere. And then I'd never been to Vegas before, so it was cool that I got to check off a state and everything like that. On the plane, I ended up, watching some matches that they did at WWE World on my phone. I believe the matches were Tatum Paxley faced Alba Fire for the NXT Women's North American title, which ended up being her final match. And I know Motor City Machine Guns had a match, but I don't remember who they faced. I'm pretty sure they faced Fraxium, because I feel like I remember that match being a thing. And Motor City Machine Guns won with Skull and Bones. So those matches are pretty good. Nothing really too wild to write home about. And then I watched Main Event. Don't really remember too much about Main Event. So there was that. And then yeah, we got off the plane. Went to get our luggage. There was a couple wrestling fans on the plane. They were mainly sitting in first class though, and obviously we didn't have that luxury. And then yeah, we took a taxi. I had never really lived in a taxi before, just because I lived in the Uber age and everything like that, and then we went to the hotel. We unfortunately we had an issue checking in because when my mom booked it, she did it through like a booking website, and she put a card on file, and it was digitally, and they ended up denying it. So we had to like go on the phone with the credit card company, and they ended up calling the hotel. The woman was pretty nice about it. She was on the phone like a good hour. Eventually, it just got to the point where we just decided to throw in the towel, just get another room, and we deal with this later because it was like probably like 3 a.m., 5 a.m. our time. So, uh, you know, and then the second night, and then we're on Friday, um, and we got up so we could go get our priority passes that we got for WWE World and stuff. We ended up having breakfast at the hotel. We walked to the convention center where they were doing WWE World. Um, and yeah, we went to the convention center. It was kind of iffy if we were even going to get it because they don't really give you a lot of information, which is kind of a little bit critique I have. So we ended up going. And yeah, luckily we were able to get it. I got the WWE bags, and then I ended up getting a pin. I can show you that real quick. I can't really show you the bags. I don't exactly know what the bags ended up. But I ended up getting a WWE Priority Pass pin. It's a WrestleMania 40 edition. I know it's backwards. You can't see it because of the camera, but I thought that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, then we ended up walking around WWE World a little bit. This was pretty cool. I took some videos of this. That's on the Facebook page and my Instagram page. I'd never done like fan access of WWE World. It's not something I ever would have thought to do. I didn't get to do it when I went to WrestleMania the first time around. So this is kind of cool. I got to do something like this. We didn't do too much because we had to leave for the WrestleMania party. But we kind of just walked around a little bit. I ended up getting a picture with, I think it's Ryo, wherever one Pete Dunne is, and Sean Spears, which was pretty cool. And it was pretty cool because I had just seen Sean Spears at the NXT house show that they did in Plymouth. So it was pretty cool. I got to see him twice. And then we went to the WrestleMania party. And it was really cool. They did it at Arena 51. I was talking to some wrestling fans that were there before, and they, had mentioned that they did this last year, because obviously Mania was in Vegas last year, and they mentioned that they tried to do this like in a convention center, but it was kind of a huge clusterfuck. So, yeah, it was kind of nice. They had some food there. They had some cheeseburger sliders and some tacos and things like that. It was open bar, which my mom liked. And then, they had some music there. They had some bands that like sang popular songs. And then, eventually, the event started. They brought out Byron Saxton, and unfortunately, Cody Rhodes wasn't there. They obviously overbooked him, which I wasn't surprised about. And I'm pretty sure I could kind of figure out where he was because he was doing the WrestleMania set reveal. And the way I know that is I went and watched it later on YouTube. And obviously on YouTube now they tell you like how long ago a video was uploaded. And if you look at like how long ago it was uploaded to when I was like at the WrestleMania party, you could kind of tell that that's where he was because the WrestleMania party was about the same amount of time. And yeah, so then they brought out the first guest, which was Rhea Ripley. Couldn't really hear what Rhea Ripley was saying because the people next to me kept talking and just couldn't really hear what she was saying. And then a little bit later, they brought out Drew McIntyre. he was really funny on the Q&A segment. I thought he was awesome. I'm only going into detail of like what he said, obviously, since it's been a couple of weeks ago. He just kind of talked about his match with Jacob and things like that. Um, and then they had some wrestlers out there, which was pretty funny because and you got to make your own sign there too, which was pretty cool. Unfortunately, they didn't survive, but I got to do that. And um, yeah, this was really cool. I went to the bathroom for like a second, then I came out, and all of a sudden I saw like a line for the Street Profits. Pretty cool. The Street Profits were there. I didn't know they were gonna be there. So I hopped in line so I could get a picture with the Street Profits. I ended up giving Montez for like some tips and everything like that. He was a really cool guy. And then doing all this, they had other wrestlers out there. I got to get my picture with them. I got my picture with Rusev, which was awesome. It was cool to meet Rusev. Then I got my picture with Brutus Creed, Zoe Stoke, which is unfortunate because she got released recently, and Eric. It was cool to see Zoe Stoke because obviously she had been injured and everything like that. And then after that, I got to meet someone from a YouTuber. Obviously, he's bigger than me. It's Justin from the Wrestling Classic. This was pretty cool because I recognized who he was. Because obviously I'd been watching his interviews and everything like that, so it was pretty cool. I got to see him. I didn't want to approach him at first because I thought I didn't want to be one of those fans that just approaches somebody. I wanted to kind of give him his piece, but we had walked by each other like 3 times. So I figured finally I just go up and say hi to him. A little awkward for me because I kind of talked to him like I knew who he was because I watch his videos all the time and everything like that. So that was pretty cool. And then I got to meet him, and then afterwards we went back after the event ended. We went back to WWE World, and we ended up taking pictures and videos of the championship belts that were out there. They had a big blow up of Roman Reigns and Undertaker and John Cena. And then I went and did the AAA setup they had going on over there. I did the slap with Stephanie McMahon. I walked around the Hall of Fame display. And then I was going to sit and watch the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul. And he had Stephen A. Smith on, but I didn't really know what they were talking about. So, I didn't really... I kind of just left that. Yeah, that was kind of it for like day one of WWE World. And then I went back, and then I went and got some merchandise, which I can show you real quick. The merchandise was pretty cool. It was huge, the WWE Superstore. It was like the size of a Lowe's, or like a big supermarket and everything like that. It was huge. I ended up getting the WrestleMania shirt. It has all the matches and everything like that with Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, Stephanie Vaquero versus Liv Morgan, and Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. And then on the back it just says I was there, and has the date of WrestleMania and everything like that. So that was pretty cool. And then I ended up... my mom ended up getting me this for my birthday, which I feel bad for because she ended up getting the more expensive shirt. It's Undertaker t-shirt. I don't know. I think that's the front, and then this is the back. This is pretty cool because I'm obviously a big Undertaker fan. I feel bad for her though because this ended up costing a lot of money. She would have been better off getting me like the WrestleMania shirt. I ended up also getting the program book. I still have to like go through this. I'll probably try to do that this week. I'm not gonna make a video and go through like what's on it. I used to do that back in the day, but I feel like that'd be a little too boring. So, and then my friend Chris wanted a shirt. I asked him which one he wanted. He ended up getting the Danhausen shirt. So Chris, this is your shirt right here. I sent him a picture of this earlier today. And yeah, so that was kind of the end of WWE World. Then we went back. Then we went to our Airbnb. Kind of just chilled. We were tired because we had been up for all night. We were still adjusting to the Vegas time, and flights and everything like that. So I kind of just chilled at the house. I watched the WrestleMania kickoff show. Couldn't watch SmackDown. My mom was thinking of taking me to SmackDown, but then we kind of forgot that there was a time change. So SmackDown was earlier in Vegas, so we couldn't really do SmackDown. I was thinking, oh, SmackDown's on at 8, but I was thinking I was in the Eastern Standard Time. So I still have yet to watch SmackDown from WrestleMania. I'm probably going to try to do that at some point. I just haven't yet because there's no point because, everything's happened already. So then the next day, I got up, had some breakfast. My brother-in-law and I went to WWE World. I actually have a priority pass. I don't. I think it's in my backpack. I don't know what that is, but it's the priority pass. You have to wear around your necklace and everything like that. It's like a badge. And WWE World was really cool the second day. We ended up walking in when they were doing a match. It was Grayson Waller versus Axiom. So I don't think Motor City then did face. I know Motor City had a match at WWE World, but I don't remember who they faced. But maybe they faced Los Garzas. That's who I'm thinking of. But yeah, so we had Grayson Waller versus Axiom. Grayson Waller won. That was a pretty decent match. And then we went and did our own entrance because I wanted to do that. That was really cool. I ended up doing John Cena since I was wearing a shirt, and my brother-in-law did Logan Paul, and he ended up getting booed for it. I tried to warn him about that, but he likes the villains. So, and then we went and saw the Hulk Hogan set. That was really cool. I enjoyed the Hulk Hogan set, and then we went and watched the. Then he wanted to go see the belts because he hadn't seen them yet, and then we went and watched the podcast, the 6 Feet Under podcast with Undertaker and John Cena. It was really cool. I got to be there for that. I didn't think I would make it for that since, I thought I was just going to watch it later on my own time, but I ended up making it for it. So that was really cool. I liked that. And then we met my family for lunch, left lunch, went to WrestleMania. I ended up missing the beginning. I missed John Cena's appearance and the opener. I got to see ISO Speed dive off the announce table. But other than that, I ended up missing the opener. Then we got to our seats. And then we ended up watching the rest of the show. So I'll kind of go through it. Our seats were pretty decent. They were about the same for when I was at WrestleMania 32. But I still thought they were good seats. It was like the front row of in 310. If you can picture that. I ended up watching, going through the show. The first match I saw was the unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. I thought this was a very brutal match, very good. I thought it'd be a little bit more brutal given the story, but I still enjoyed it. They did a lot of crazy stuff, but Jacob Fatu ended up winning with the moonsault on Drew through the table. But I enjoyed this match. I'll give it probably 4 stars. I thought it was great stuff. And then we had the women's tag, I believe, was the next match. It was for the women's tag team titles. It was We're Not Friends versus the Irresistible Forces versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria versus what we thought was going to be the Bella Twins, but it's not the Bella Twins because obviously Nikki Bella wasn't cleared to wrestle. So instead, it was the returning Paige. This was probably the highlight of night 1 of WrestleMania. Really happy to see Paige back. I had gotten the reports that she'd re-signed. It was really cool to see her come back. And yeah, Paige and Brie ended up winning the women's tag belts, and I was completely fine with it. So yeah, that was really cool. Awesome to see Paige back. And then the next match, I believe, was Seth Rollins versus Gunther. Um, I thought this was awesome. This was probably the match of night one. The best match. I thought it was great stuff. These two just went out there and really tore the house down. Eventually, Blonde Breaker, when Seth did 3 dives in a row, ended up interfering in the match. He speared Seth Rollins, and then he put him in the ring. Gunther put him in the sleeper, and ended up beating Seth Rollins. But overall, great stuff right there. I'm going to give that like 4 3/4 stars. It was an awesome match live. It's probably the match that had like the most time other than the main event. Where I felt like it wasn't too long. It went exactly as I thought it should have. And then afterwards, Braun Breaker hit another spear onto Seth Rollins. And then we had the Women's World Heavyweight Championship match. Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Valkyrie for the Women's World title. I thought this was the crappiest match of the whole weekend. It was going okay, but then they kind of cut it short. Eventually, after some Judgment Day interference, Liv Morgan ended up winning the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. And yeah, she won the title. I wasn't happy about this. I'm not a Liv Morgan fan, and I'm just not looking forward to seeing another Liv Morgan title run. But I thought this match was cut short. I think they could have done something special. I did see that Stephanie Valkyrie's hurt, like coming out of WrestleMania, so I don't know if she was hurt going in, so they cut the match short. But that was kind of like the theme of night one, where it felt like a lot of the matches were cut short. Because the Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu match I thought was a little short. The women's tag match I thought was a little short. And this match I think really suffered from it. So it's a little unfortunate. And then John Cena came back out. He announced the attendance, and then he brought out Bianca Belair. Well, Bianca Belair came out, and she announced she was pregnant. Really surprised. I didn't really expect to see Bianca Belair, and this was a really cool announcement. I'm really happy for Bianca and Montez Ford. Really cool that very courageous to reveal your baby bump on, live television and stuff like that. So I thought this was cool. I'm happy for them. Awesome stuff. It was cool. And then we had the main event. It was Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. Good match. I hear a lot of people say that this match wasn't very good on television, but there it was fine. Pat McAfee assaulted Cody, but then eventually Cody fought back. He beat up Pat McAfee, and then eventually Jelly Roll came in and elbowed him through the announce table, which took out Pat McAfee completely. But then later on, he ran out. He tried to count the victory for Randy, but Cody kicked out, and then eventually Randy hit him with an RKO, which allowed Cody to take advantage and hit him with a crossroads. And he ended up retaining the title. And then afterwards, Randy Orton attacked Cody, hit him with the belt, and then he hit the punt onto him. And that's how WrestleMania Night 1 ended, for the most part. Obviously, the reason this happened is Pat McAfee opted out of the storyline. They were supposed to obviously have Randy Orton win here, and then he was going to go on to face... It was going to be a tag match at Backlash, where it was going to be Randy Orton and Pat McAfee versus Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll. But Pat McAfee opted out, which I'm happy he did. The storyline really wasn't very bad, so I'm happy that... I'm happy they're cutting it short. And that was night one. Overall, I enjoyed night one. Being there live, I'll probably give it like a solid B. I heard night one didn't come across very well on television, which I can kind of see. But overall, I enjoyed night one. Obviously, I feel like they had some issues. There was a lot of ad breaks, which you obviously felt live. They kept cutting to Joe Tess and Big E, like ringside and everything like that. And then, I obviously didn't like Liv winning the title. And yeah, just, night one didn't feel as much like WrestleMania as night two would. So, yeah, I felt like night one was good, was solid, but, again, I don't know what I would say if I wasn't there live. I feel like I'm missing something that happened on night one that I'm completely forgetting. I'll double check, but I feel like the only thing I'm missing is that 6-man tag. So, I am missing something from night one. AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the women's IC title. I think that took place in between the women's tag match and the Seth Gunther match. I like that match. I thought that was very good. I'll give it like 3 3/4 stars. Becky did win with the manhandle slam after setting AJ into the buckle. Kind of significant since Jessica Carr was the referee. So, yeah, that match was, I thought, really good. I was kind of over that story. I kind of wanted to see them move on and do something else, which I guess I'm happy they're doing. I haven't been into this AJ Lee return. When she's been there and done stuff, it's been good. But then, you know, um, it just hasn't been anything really significant. She's been gone a lot. Now she's taking another leave of absence, which she hasn't really been there much. So this AJ Lee return hasn't been anything to write home about so far for me. So, and I feel like it's time for Becky Lynch to move on for the women's IC title, but it seems like they don't want to do that. She could be a great first opponent for Rhea Ripley. Spoilers alert if you haven't seen WrestleMania, for like the women's world title. So whatever. But yeah, Becky retained. So whatever. But yeah, night one was still solid. I would still give it like a B. We went outside. We heard we heard the post show going on, but I couldn't really go in to like see what was going on because we missed like the entrance to it, and obviously there's a bunch of people. And then we kind of just went out and met with family. I got to see like the synchronized like shooters. I forget what it's called, which was nice. And did some gambling and things like that. Then we got up the next day. Kind of really just packed up the Airbnb because we had to be in Utah. And we had to check out at like 11. And then my brother-in-law and I went and checked in our hotel, just got some food. And then eventually we walked to Allegiant Stadium. We got to watch a little bit of the countdown show on the panel. If you do scroll in around the time that Tyrese Halliburton comes on, you can like see me in the background, but you have to like really scroll in, which is pretty cool. We went in, we kind of walked around Allegiant Stadium. It's a really cool stadium. I've only been to 3 football stadiums. I've been to AT&T Stadium, obviously Allegiant Stadium, and then I've been to I don't want to say Foxwoods, but whatever the Boston one is. I don't know why I can't name my own stadium, but I went to that one. And then Gillette, at Gillette Stadium, that's what it is. And yeah, we just kind of sat down in our seats after that. I made it known I wanted to be I didn't want to miss the first match this time because Brock was the first match, and now I'm really glad I didn't. The show started. It kicked off, and night 2 just had a different feel to it. It was such a different night. That felt like WrestleMania. It feels like they fixed a lot of the issues they had with night 1 and really stepped it up with night 2. And I noticed that's been kind of a pattern when it comes to WrestleManias. One night's always overshines the other. The only time I think that hasn't happened was 40. I thought 40 both nights were equally as great. But I feel like one night's always better than the other. Since they've switched to 2 night manias, 36 I think night 1 was better. I haven't seen 37 really. I've only seen a few things. 38 I think night 1 was better. 39 night 1 was better. 40 night 2 was better, and then 41 night 2 was better. It's kind of caused a lot of debate now if, they should just go back to one night, which I don't think is the solution at all. I feel like one night manias were too long. I feel like you just need to find that balance and just book better shows for both nights. Maybe you need to have a different booking team so they're not like exhausting themselves. One books one night, one books the other night, Could figure that out. But yeah, night 2 was just such a different energy, just such a different show, and it was tremendous. If it, night 2 was probably like one of the best live wrestling experiences I've probably ever had. I've had a lot of great ones, but I feel like night 2 just really stepped it up. I might do a list someday about like the best wrestling experience I've ever had, but night 2 of WrestleMania 42 is definitely up there for me. yeah, so they kicked it off with the pyro. John Cena came out and welcomed everyone to WrestleMania, and then we got Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi. And yeah, this was what we were waiting for, and um, it was kind of the typical hoss fight. Oba was really taking it to Brock, but then Brock started taking it to Oba. So I was obviously worried, thinking like, "Ooh, Brock's probably gonna win this match here," because you know it is rumored he's retiring, but I feel like he's facing Gunther at SummerSlam. But that's not what happened here. Um, Oba hit the pop up power bomb and beat Brock. I was pretty shocked by this. Um, I figured, Oba had looked so strong going into this match that, Brock was going to get the win here. Because we've seen that happen before with Brock. But no, they really put Oba on the map. And then afterwards, Brock took his boots off and his gloves and retired. It was pretty crazy. I didn't expect to see him retire. I obviously had heard rumors he was going to retire, but I hadn't heard it was going to be at WrestleMania. I heard it was going to be at SummerSlam, especially since, SummerSlam's in Minnesota this year. I figured that makes sense for him to retire like in his hometown. But no, he retired at WrestleMania. Obviously, I don't know if he actually is a retirement, considering the fact that Gunther has that favor, and a lot of people are speculating that Gunther was going to cash in and have Paul Heyman get Brock out of retirement so Gunther can retire him himself. Selfishly, I don't really want that to happen, because I kind of would like to have been there for Brock Lesnar's last match, but I could see that happening. But, yeah, it was really shocking to see Brock retire. He's had a hell of a career. Obviously, it was very controversial towards the end because of all the Janelle Grant stuff and everything like that. But Brock was really a special attraction. He always felt like a huge deal, and I always enjoyed watching him. So crazy to think that he retired. So kind of like 1-for-1 at WrestleMania. Really delivering there. It was really shocking. So glad I didn't miss it, because if I would have missed this match, didn't mind this match being short. It got over really well, so I loved it. And then we had the ladder match, just absolutely excellent. I think this was better than the 32 ladder match. This one, everyone just kind of went out there, did a bunch of crazy stuff. Everyone got their chance to shine. It was a 6-man ladder match. So it was Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, Penta, Javon Evans, Rusev, and I know I'm missing somebody. Let me think. So let me think. I'm gonna try to do this again. This is what one of the problems. I don't have a co-host that can kind of correct me. So Penta was the champion, and then it was JD McDonough, Rusev, Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, and I'm missing somebody. I'm just trying to remember who it is. I know I'm missing somebody. Because I have 5. Who was the 6th guy? I'm gonna have to look that up real quick. I was thinking I could do it off the top of my head. But whatever. These things happen sometimes. So, okay, so it's Penta, JD McDonough, Dragon Lee. I guess I did get everybody, but whatever. It was Penta defending the title against Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. Maybe I just lost count or something. And yeah, this ladder match was tremendous. Everyone got their chance to shine, and I really liked it a lot. A lot of people kind of complained because like Dragon Lee and Rusev didn't get in, like their entrance happened during a commercial. I really didn't notice that complaint because I was there. So, but Penta won, but everyone got a chance to shine. Javon really showed out in this match. Rey Mysterio, who did some crazy stuff in this match, which is crazy because the dude just came back from broken ribs, and he's like almost 50, so it's crazy that he still moves the way he does. Dragon Lee did some great stuff. Rusev did some great stuff. Like, everybody really showed out in this ladder match. It was tremendous. So, then it was Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. I thought very good. Great stuff. It felt like Trick turned face, but he's not quite there yet. But with the way the crowd was, unfortunately, the section I was in, the whoop that Trick wasn't as loud as I would have thought. But yeah, Trick Williams won. He beat Sammy with the Trick shot, but I thought this was great. I hope this is the start of Trick going face, because with the reaction he gets, and as I'll tell you in a few minutes, there's other stuff he does. This guy cannot stay a heel. He's got to go face. He's so over. So 3 for 3 at WrestleMania. The ladder match, Brock Oba, and then this match. Obviously, I mix up the order, but still, like, already this is just like night and day better than night 1 of WrestleMania. And then we had the street fight, the Demon, Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. Again, another great match right here. Really awesome to see the Demon live. I hadn't seen the Demon live before. I was trying to think if I ever had, but I don't think I have, because he wasn't at 32 because he was still in NXT, Finn Balor. I have seen Finn live, but I don't think he's been the Demon because I've only been to like a Raw. And other PLEs that I've been to, because I went to Hell in a Cell 2016 and he was injured. I went to SmackDown, but he wasn't on SmackDown. And I went to, I'm trying to remember if I went to any other PLEs, because I didn't go to any shows in 2020 really because of the pandemic, and that might be the only year I didn't go to like a WWE show actually, because it was in the pandemic. And then I didn't go to any in 2021 really. I went to 2023, but like he was in the Judgment Day and he hadn't really been doing the Demon that much. So yeah, I think this is the first time I've seen the Demon live, so that was pretty cool. Finn won with the coup de grace through the table, which made sense. I'm really happy they did that. I'm happy they didn't ruin the Demon either, because obviously I was expecting some sponsors to be on him, but they just let the Demon be the Demon, and it was kind of nice. It felt like old times in NXT and everything like that. And then, I will say this. I feel like the breaks were a better placed. You still had some, and they weren't as much, but like we got the break after the ladder match, and that made sense because we just seen a bunch of stuff since then. You definitely needed to take a breather after that. So, yeah, really happy that happened. And then we had Jade Cargill defending the Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley. A good match. This match definitely suffered because I just seen like a ton of great matches before then. But it was a good match. Beechin kept trying to interfere, but then eventually Io Sky ran out and attacked him, even the odds, which allowed Rhea Ripley to hit the Riptide for the win. This did make sense considering the fact that I was thinking Jade would win, but this makes a lot of sense. I was kind of hoping Rhea would win because Jade's title reign wasn't working. I was thinking though they would want to save it for Bianca, but since Bianca's not going to come back anytime soon, just to put the belt on Rhea, so that way like SmackDown and the women's title can be credible again. So I was happy with this result. Rhea was really over. So, and then they had John Cena segment again. I missed the beginning because I had to go to the bathroom, but then I went back, and The Miz and Kurt Wilson went in there insulting Cena, and then eventually, Danhausen came out with a bunch of like little Danhausens and just beat him up and everything like that, cursed him, and he did the 5-knuckle shuffle, and it was really funny. Really weird to see Cena back, obviously this is the first time we've seen him in the suit and tie and everything like that, which is weird because when he did the podcast earlier, he was just in like his traditional clothes. So um, that was weird, but whatever. I forgot night one they did bring out the Hall of Fame class. I didn't see the Hall of Fame. I didn't get to go to it live, but I've seen it after the fact. I enjoyed the Hall of Fame. Stephanie's speech was good. She was inducted by her daughters and Linda McMahon. Um, Demolition speech were good. They were inducted by the Warlord, Haku, and On Anderson. Dennis Rodman's speech was pretty solid. He was inducted by X-Pac, the 1-2-3 Kid, um, Six, whatever you want to call him, and Kevin Nash. And then they had the legacy ones, which was obviously Psycho Sid and Bad News Brown. The families were there to support them. And then we had the match like ceremony, the Immortal match, which was accepted by Nick Hogan, Andre the Giant's daughter, and Jimmy Hart. And then we had AJ Styles' induction. His was short and sweet, which was nice. And he was inducted by the Good Brothers. I didn't really think it would be the Good Brothers. I was trying to speculate who all these people were going to induct AJ Styles into the Hall of Fame. And it was the Good Brothers. I didn't really expect that, so that was cool. And it was hosted by The Miz and Michael Cole, which I thought they did a great job, so that's good. And then we had the main event. It was CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. A tremendous main event. Probably one of the best matches I've ever seen live. And there's a lot of competition, but if I made a list, I think this would go in like the top 10, maybe top 5, but I would have to really think about it. I've seen a lot of wrestling matches live, so Roman Reigns won. It was such a good match, I didn't really care. The entrances, too, for these nights of WrestleMania were very good. Rhea had a good entrance. Cody had a good entrance. Roman and Punk had great entrances. Punk was probably my favorite of the show. Trick had a good entrance. Sammy's was pretty solid. He had Penta's. So, yeah, he had a lot of good entrances. And Danhausen's was awesome. And that was the end of night 2. Night 2, I think being there live might be an S rank. Which, I feel like if you combine the two grades, I might say like it's probably like an A minus WrestleMania. I don't know what I would have graded the show if I had been there live, but yeah, you could just feel the difference between the two nights of WrestleMania. I feel like night 2 was easily superior. Just a better experience all around. I liked night 1, but night 2, I won't deny was the better night. And then they had the post show. I got to be there for the post show. I got to see Roman Reigns at the end, and then I got to see Trick Williams. He was busy all night. And then I'm trying to remember who was before Trick. I think it was Rhea. So the post show was fun. Then my brother-in-law went and got some dinner. We got to talk a little bit to the waiter because he was at night 1, and unfortunately had to miss night 2, which I felt bad for, which was pretty cool. He knew the results of the main event, but didn't want to know the match, how it was laid out, and everything like that. So, and then afterwards we went to the after party hosted by Gronk, which was fun. Gronk hosted it, and that was an interesting experience. Gronkowski, it didn't stop for a while. They had Tiffany Stratton out there. She was kind of in and out. I didn't even realize she had really left. And she had came out, and then that was kind of it for Tiffany Stratton, which was weird. And then they had everyone partying. They had Trick Williams and Last Legend. They had Julius Creed. They had Gronk. He was very entertaining. He brought his dad up, and I think one of his teammates up. I'm really not sure who that guy was. And then we saw Ted DiBiase Jr. He was there, which was cool. I didn't really expect to see him. Obafemi showed up. It was a hell of a time. Funny story I can tell you is that towards the end, I saw this woman looking at this 8-foot guy, like they were planning something, and all of a sudden you'll see it if I film on my phone. She gets on the stage and jumps into that guy's arms, and that got her thrown out, which was pretty funny. And I was right next to that situation when it happened. I got like a bunch of candy from that too. So that was a hell of a time. And that was pretty much the end of my WrestleMania experience. Really happy I got to do this. I wanted to do this for my 30th. I mentioned it to my brother-in-law. And, I always talk about going to WrestleMania every year, but then it kind of never happens. But I kind of wanted to make it happen. I'm like, it was like July. And I'm like, I want to go to WrestleMania. It's my 30th. I want to do something big. And I'm happy it got to happen. My family had talked about taking me anyways, so it kind of worked out that I got to do that. And it was a hell of a trip. And then, obviously I did the non-wrestling stuff, which was like Utah, going to Zion, going to Bryce, which were hell of a hikes. Not really a hiker, so it was kind of an interesting experience. So I enjoyed that. And then I've been back home. Unfortunately, on my flight back, when I came back, I had to hear about all the releases, which sucked. We'll probably do a video about that afterwards. But I got to give my respect to Trick Williams, though. He was probably the MVP of WrestleMania 42, Night 2, because he was doing everything. He was at Mania itself, wrestling. He did the Raw podcast. He did the post show, and then he did the after party. That dude was busy. That dude, I think, is going to be the face of the brand if they can get him right and everything like that. Really cool that the main event of Stand and Deliver all had great showings at WrestleMania. Oba beating Brock and retiring him. Javon having great performances in the ladder match, and then obviously Trick winning the U.S. title and just being pushed. Just a great viewing experience for WrestleMania all around. Definitely would like to go again. You always kind of hope to go. Don't know if I'll go in another 10 years or not, but we'll see. But it was really fun. So, if I had to give style ratings for each match, because I kind of lost it in between, I can't really do the opener because I wasn't there. Jacob and Drew was 4 stars. Wish it had been a little bit more brutal. The 4-way tag is probably 3 3/4. I can't go 4. It's 3 3/4 for the moment of Paige coming back. The women's IC title I thought was really good. I'll give it 3.5. Then the women's world title match. Well, Seth and Gunther I thought was match of the night. I'll give that 4 3/4 stars. And then the women's world title match, I'm gonna give a 2. And then the main event, I'll give a 3. And then for star ratings for night 2, Brock and Oba, I'll probably go 4.5. The ladder match might be a 5 for me. Finn Dom was 4.5. Rhea Jade was 3, maybe 3 1/4 for Jade winning, and then the main event was 5. Just a great viewing experience all around. I'm really happy I got to go to this WrestleMania. Thank you to my family if they watch this, which I doubt they will, for making this happen, because I didn't think it was going to happen. Unfortunately, Steve and I, because Steve Walkman Rampage and stuff was there, we never got to meet up. We just couldn't make it work out. It was very difficult. We kept trying to find the time to do it, and it just couldn't happen. But we'll try to definitely be more active on this channel. I was really going to do an update, but since I'm here now, I'll just talk about it. Since I feel like this went well doing stuff myself, I'm going to try to do some more solo stuff, whether that's trivia stuff or Aftershocks on my own or whatever. James Hebert's going to come back. We're going to do a retro together. We're going to try to do one a month. So that should be fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed WrestleMania. For those that did see it live or at home or whatever, I definitely will try to do an Aftershock sometime next week, covering what's been going on in WWE. Since WrestleMania happened, I just wanted to make this all about my WrestleMania trip. But that's pretty much it, guys, and I will talk to you guys later.